If you somehow are watching this video and you, one, have never watched Survivor, first watch Survivor because it is one of the best shows out there. But if you only have watched US Survivor, I would implore you to go seek out methods, whether through a Facebook community. That's how I initially found Australian Survivor, or just whatever. I think it's on Daily Motion or Video Motion, one of those two sites. I don't. It's called one of those two names. I don't know the name of it. Point is, watch Australian Survivor, especially if you find the new era not as good as the previous seasons. Australian Survivor pretty much is just the old era, but you're getting so much focus on a singular season because it's over 20 episodes, and it has made me want the US to make one season a year so they can go back to like having the actual focus on making a season grand. Where we can start with redemption, I'll talk about specific players. What I mainly want to focus on with this video is the players that I thought stood out, where I think this season kind of stands. Not like an official. One day I'll do a ranking of every single season. Before that, I want to do a ranking of every era. I wouldn't rank this era because I think we're seeing a new era just begin. But this is a very good season, and I think it stands as maybe a top 3 Australian Survivor season. I think Titans vs Rebels still number 1, but this could be number 2. I got to think about it. The other ones I'd put in the mix are Brains vs Brawn 1, Heroes vs Villains, and even AU vs the World for only being 10 episodes and a shortened season. I still think hits so hard. We'll get to it later, but when I thought like, okay, I thought this final week would be boring. I was like, okay, I don't really. My favorite was Keely. She's gone. All the returnees are gone. All the bigger players that kind of had moments, like Ben has some moments, Faith has some moments. All the people that I was really entertained by were going out. I was like, this Final Four, I don't know if it's going to do it for me. But it managed to entertain me every single episode until the end, until the votes were read. It was a very exciting season. And what it does have above Titans vs. Rebels is Titans vs. Rebels, by the time we were at, jury speeches and all of that, we knew Ferris was going to win. And while I leaned Caleb was winning, Caleb did something crazy. When the craziest, I haven't been shocked like that in a final vote in so long. After the season, I'm feeling like I need redemption because we can go into my biggest fault and my biggest error of my entire channel history. When I was doing merge predictions, I gave Jackson. It came down to Jackson and Caleb, who will get my final 3%, which isn't a ton of percentage, but I had to decide between the two of them who would get 0, or even I could have split it, 1 or 2, but I wanted to give them a lot more, and I kind of spent a lot of my percentages earlier on. And I ended up giving Jackson the 3%. So Caleb, the winner of the season, I gave 0%. And at that time, I didn't see a world where he could win. I think I literally said that. And then the next week, he had a great episode, and I felt like I fucked up. But I hope that mistake never happens again. I am deeply ashamed. I am a failure for that. Now I'm going to kind of focus on all the characters I want to talk about. I'm not going to talk about everyone. Lyndall, who, not like a ton to speak on here. The thing I loved about Lyndall was there was like 2 or 3, maybe even more instances where I remember it specifically with Eliza, where at night someone would come up to Lyndall and they'd be like, yeah, we're on the bottom, throwing your name out. And it kind of felt like Lyndall had an attitude of, like, I don't need this stress. And she would just target the person who was telling her she's in danger. It's like, it frustrated me, but in an entertaining way. I was just so perplexed by Lyndall. Like, why are you targeting the people that are telling you you're in danger? They have to, in some way, want to work with you if they are informing you of people wanting you out. But I thought Lyndall was fun. He had like weird strategy themes that was fun to watch. Next up, we got Harry, who got a lot of screen time for like the 5-ish episodes he was in, but it wasn't a long time. And I think that's just kind of, he was on the Ron tribe for I think Harry's just a lot more suspicious of a character. I mean, he lied about having a kid, so that guy's always going to have a bit of a tough time earning trust over at the start of a game, especially with new players, and especially when they kind of want their own time in the sun. I think it's a terrible move to blackmail Tribe, but it was fun. It led to a great moment, and at least if this is Harry's last time, it's an iconic episode. It's a fun exit, and the person that did do him dirty, I didn't. They mentioned so many times in promos this season. He's gonna make a dirty move. This is the dirtiest deed. Like, they were really using the word dirty a lot. But Jackson did Harry dirty. But it was obviously the right move. I mean, he gets to the end, sits at the end, gets 3 votes. So I don't think that's a move Jackson's like, I did the wrong thing there. I should have stayed with Harry. I don't even know if he makes the merge if he sticks with Harry. Final pre-merge person I'm going to talk about, and now there's 4 players that like I'm really interested in seeing again, and that's Faith. I don't know how good Faith would do on a return. I think Faith would have an issue of coming off too strong and then just being shot out instantly, because in a returning season, people don't really, I think, appreciate a more singular person leading as much. But Faith was just so fun. I like people that are cocky and they're confident and they're witty, and Faith was bringing all that. I was really rooting for her, even as she did things I didn't think was the best. Like telling Mark, obviously that's not something you should do. Could dominate in the endurance immunity challenges if she played on returning season, was able to make it to the merge. I think she just needs to let other people think she needs to give off an appearance of being a loyal ally more than like a domineering force, because people eventually are going to take out a domineering force. In these like 24 people seasons, it's really hard to pull like a George or an AJ where you can lead a pack all the way to the end. Now back to another returnee, Mark. Out of the 4 returnees, Mark's, I think, a polarizing person because he gets so much focus. I don't think he was as polarizing in Titans vs. Rebels, at least from what I remember. I remember there being some bits in the pre-merge where I was like, this is Mark guy's kind of cocky. But he spent so much of that game being the underdog, whereas this game he was kind of leading from the front the entire time. And I think on this season he'd be a lot more polarizing. You could argue like taking out Faith was bad right before the merge, and then taking out Richard might not be the best move, as far as like you need people that can at least maybe go on your side. That shit was good TV. And I don't think Richard would have jumped in Mark's arms when they did hit the beach again. So I don't think, like, sometimes it's like, man, you voted for me, fuck you. And just live in that rage for a little bit and get that clap back. Because the Richard one hurts more personally than like Ben writing your name down. Ben came out of nowhere. Like, he didn't really level up until the merge. He had a little bit forming when the Beauty and Beast was starting to happen, but he kind of just felt like challenge. Like, his whole theme was challenge. But he came alive in the merge. I think his confessionals were great. He was giving me David vibes in his earlier, like his first season David vibes is what I was kind of getting from Ben. And Ben is one of the 4 people that like I would love to see again. So I think Ben would have a better understanding of the game. I think he would try play it a bit safer, but I think he would go in there with the confessional gold instantly day one. And as far as I'm concerned, Ben is almost like, put him on my screen. He was so good. And there's another person I'm going to talk about who had a great 1 episode. Ben, it's like, when the merge started, he started getting more screen time, and that he had like a good run of 3 to 5-ish episodes where I was like, damn, Ben is like killing me. He's making me laugh. I'm interested in what he's saying. Where did this man come from? Simon, I mean, there's a lot. I think this is Simon's best game, even if his like longest lasting technically is Heroes vs. Villains. Simon was the most dominant here, and I think he showed a lot of ingenuity. One, the rock draw that he almost got to happen was a brilliant plan.
I'm a little confused,
It's
Simon. Can you clarify?
why it's a move that kind of shows why he was a villain, because it's evil to do that to people, but it's smart, and he knows the audience that might not work as well on US Survivor, but with Australian Survivor, people aren't as familiar as he is, so he can pull a lie like that off. And shout out David also for not blowing him up there. Simon was able to go through this lie and almost execute it to perfection. He almost could have got scot-free. He would have been immune. Other people having to draw rocks, and he gets to sit back and watch the chaos unfold. He made a big play, and it didn't exactly pay off, but this is the most impressed I've been watching Simon. Final returnee, we're going to be talking about Brooke. I always knew Brooke was a good player. Obviously, All-Stars, she doesn't get a show. It's more like physical we're impressed by, because she was on the wrong side of numbers for a long time. But like her first season still might be her best season, even though she placed higher, I think, in the other two. Like that first season, she made boring. But I hated the first season for a long time because Brooke was so damn good and had such... Her in this group with Flick and, Sam, who's calling Nick a snake, this dirty snake. And these people sticking together for like so many tribals. It was the hardest watch. When Australian Survivor is dealing with a Paganing, it is very hard to watch because there are so many episodes. And I think the first season of Australian Survivor is like a terrible one to begin with because you're just watching a steamroll. And Brooke does get taken out. But what I'm the most surprised by this season is Brooke's ability to like outwit people, I guess, this time. Because we were seeing her survive despite not having control and even not having immunity sometimes. Yeah, she won the necklace and clutched up to save herself, but it was the idle plays. It was the tricks she was doing with Keely. Yeah, Keely, I give Keely more credit for that, but Brooke did sell it well, with her jacket and with her idol. Or then just faking with the half idol when she survives the 7 vote. Like, that's the time, like, that is the time to take Brooke out. You're taking Cameron out because he's annoying. You're at the final 7. You dealt with this motherfucker for like 30 plus days. Take him to the end. But Brooke was able to survive that. She was able to survive a lot of situations where if she didn't have an idol, it was good reads on Brooke's part to play idols at the right time, to bluff in the correct way, to lie and then slip up, but then cover over yourself. I think Brooke played a very great underdog game, a very impressive one. I'm a little biased because I picked Keely as my winner pick, but sometimes you pick your winner pick and they end up being your favorite person anyways, and this felt like a Genevieve situation for me, where it's like, damn, I couldn't have picked a better person to root for. I love Keely so much. Just her icon. Her eyes scare me. Keely made... we could talk about, I loved her confessionals, and she kind of has the same attitude as Faith, but I think it comes off a bit more cheeky, a bit more funny with her. Like, when she was chatting with Caleb, and she was saying she wants to vote out Caleb, and Caleb saying, I think Caleb's a great guy. Like, I can tell there's a dynamic between the two of them that they probably had so many entertaining scenes that we just never saw. But when we would see Keely pair off with some of these other people, like Cameron or Caleb, and just banter with them, it was funny. But Keely's mind is great for this game. And partly, I'm not... Keely is a risk taker, and she is willing to go out looking stupid to do something smart. Big facts. That's the deep for it. As far as I'm concerned, Keely is the person that's like, whenever the next returnee season is, Keely needs to come back. She needs to come back for a third time, because somehow in this season, she played twice. Keely is the only newbie on the season to transform into returnee while the season was happening. She's an incredible player, and if she plays again, I'm gonna have a hard time not picking her. But I don't know if I will, because I feel like she would have a Genevieve type threat level, and I got burned on 50 with Genevieve. But also Genevieve got burned by we're not going there. We're not going there right now. I don't need to. Finally, I'm going to throw these two together since they spent the entire game not together, but like kind of beefing. and it's just a fun storyline that I appreciated until the end with Jackson and Caleb. And they're both people I would like to see play again, and I think they would stand a good chance if they play again. Caleb's a winner, but I don't think he goes in a returnee season with a threat level of like obviously not a Ferris. I think I love Ferris. Ferris going to have like a Tony Game Changers if he comes back because people are going to be scared of him. And Miles, I think, would have a tough time. Caleb, I think, could fly under the radar even with being a winner if he came back. Because Caleb is just obviously very good socially with people. And he's chaotic, but while it can be cringe at times. Especially, I did not like the Dirty Harry stuff. Don't disrespect my Dirty Harry. But he wins you over through time. I think Jackson had a better final tribal. Jackson also that feels more his element. I do think Caleb probably played the better game. It's hard for me to say exactly. I think Caleb did one thing I want Caleb to mention more was how he instigated the war between Ben and Mark and wasn't just the guy who got to pick which side won. He led that war on, fed misinformation, and then decided which side to roll with. And when he made that decision, it obviously proved to be the right decision because he found a lot of loyalty with those people in his relationship with Laws. If he goes to the Mark side, he's with people like Keeley and Brooke who don't trust him. He's still got Mark who loves him, but I think he would have a harder time lasting. And obviously he won, so it was the right decision. But I think it would have been significantly worse if he ended up going with Mark in hindsight. Obviously, I wanted him to go with Mark when I was watching the season because it's we got all the returnees that I love. We got my favorite newbie in Keeley. And on the other side is a bunch of people who didn't get as much screen time. I don't know as much. And we can kind of kick them off one by one as far as I'm concerned. So I didn't want that side to win. But he made the right call for his game. Jackson's storyline was very compelling with his family, his relationship with his mother. And that made me rooting for him. And Jackson probably brought out the most emotions from me out of any player. Maybe Simon also. It's one of those two because Jackson, just something you can relate to in following your dreams and that sort of thing. And the passion, and how much he didn't want to lose. Jackson's falling and he just kind of falls on David, but he's obviously trying to stay up there. It's so hard to watch because you just feel that loss. But then you get one of the craziest moments ever in Caleb voting Laws out. The Golden God era of Survivor. I don't exactly like how it started. I don't still agree with JLP's firing. I don't think JLP was at all warranted in being fired for any reason. He was great on the show, and I would have appreciated him leaving on his own terms for how great he was. But that's not going to stop me from saying whether a season was good or not, and I've found Redemption to be a really fun season and top 3, top 4 Australian Survivor season. Easy. And I still feel like we're in a golden era. It's just a golden God era. All right, that's it.